Hello, everybody. More bad news as far as the corona goes, but this time it's for deer. Now, they've been talking about this for about a year now. They've been saying that, deer have been coming down with the coronavirus and that they feel like it's going to be what they call a reservoir. Let's read the headline. A coronavirus outbreak in Iowa deer is prompting scientists to worry if the animals could be a reservoir for the virus in the long term. And then they go ahead and they throw up this picture here. This poor little deer, right? I mean, the deer are always getting shitted on. If it's not a bunch of hillbillies out there shooting them and killing them and eating them up. And I must say, listen, deer meat, venison is a wonderful meat. It tastes great. But, I mean, I don't know. I think that some of these deer, we could probably give them a break. Deer are getting slaughtered all the time, year round it's just ridiculous. And now they're saying that the deer are responsible for coronavirus. So how did these deer get the coronavirus? Throughout this article, there's not really much information about it. They claim that it's somehow human to deer transmission. And now they're saying that somehow the deer are going to transmit it back to humans. Now, I don't know where the science is in this. Do they feel like somebody's going to shoot and kill a deer and then eat it and then and then contract the coronavirus from that? I mean, it's so unclear. But the one thing it does seem is like we're going after alternative food sources because there's going to be supply chain breakdowns all over the place. As you already see now, food is disappearing off the shelves. And of course, we have wildlife like deer, which is a wonderful food source. I mean, a deer can feed a family throughout the winter. One deer, right? If you make stews and, you're a somewhat healthy family who doesn't eat, so much, one deer could feed a family, whatever. And now it looks like they're going to roll out some type of mass slaughter, for deers, at least in that area. And, this is just getting silly now. I mean, who and all the time that we're exploring this whole coronavirus thing and we're rolling out mandates and all this stuff, who took the time to go track down these deers and then test them for the coronavirus and so on? And how did these deers get the coronavirus? I mean, to me, it seemed like this would have to be something like it was sprayed in the sky because there ain't no damn way that, the virus is between human beings. And now you're saying that the animals had it. And, all these little innocent animals, and you're going to start slaughtering these animals. That's what it's coming down to. This shit makes no sense. But yet people sign off on it, and they say, oh, yeah, it does make sense, Steve. I mean, the deer and the hunters, and they come up with some kind of mental gymnastics to make it seem like it's okay. But it's not. This is ridiculous. Let's listen to a little bit of video of these people. This is in Michigan. Same deer situation. Let's see what she has to say here as far as, this whole deer development goes.
New at 6, a report by the USDA says deer in Michigan are contracting COVID. But as News 8's Whitney Burney is finding out, the organization is still working to figure out how. Whitney?
Emily, the USDA took a really small sample of 481 deer across 4 different states. Of those, the most significant number of positive tests was right here in Michigan. Millions of white-tailed deer currently roam the state, known to carry things like chronic wasting disease, mange, and now COVID-19.
We currently really do not know the implications of the
They don't know anything, right? They don't know the implications of this. They don't know the implications of that. But yet what they do know is that they're going to get on the news and they're going to tell a bunch of simple-minded American people that deer are contracting the coronavirus and spreading it and all this type of stuff just to sort of condition people to start thinking, oh, we got to get rid of those deer. Just like all the anti-vax people are demonized now. We the same thing. They're going to demonize the deer, demonize the anti-vax, and then who's next? Who's next? Who is next to float the bill for this whole thing? I mean, these poor deer.
Initial look, right?
Dr. Thomas DiLiberto works with APHIS Wildlife Services at the USDA. After learning the deer could catch COVID-19, the team launched this study, finding COVID antibodies in different populations of white-tailed deer in Illinois, Pennsylvania, New York, and Michigan.
It would like to, to me, because, I think deer, for the most part, are socially distanced. How are they getting the disease unless it wasn't sprayed in the sky or something like more nefarious is going on? These deer live out in the woods. They're socially distanced. Have you ever tried to walk up to? I mean, there are like deer are beautiful animals. Like some deer will walk up to you and they will let you feed them and so on, but most deer will not. If you get close to them, they're going to run away. So you got to ask yourself, they're the most socially distanced animal that I know of, next to birds. And you know how they always say birds are spreading the flu and stuff like that too. I mean, this just sounds so silly. And the doctor gets on there. He says he doesn't know. He doesn't know. He doesn't know. So why even get on there in the first place? Why release this news clipping if you don't know? If you don't have the facts, why are you getting up there telling everybody that, oh, it's the deer. The deer are a reservoir, hotbed for the coronavirus. It's just so silly.
Here in our state, they gathered 113 samples. Of those, 67% tested positive for SARS-CoV-2 antibodies, meaning they likely had COVID-19 at some point. But these numbers don't necessarily reflect how big the problem is.
So they have antibodies, which are, would help them fight COVID. And they're taking it as being that they have those antibodies, that means that they're going to spread the virus somehow. I thought that if you've gotten the virus and you were fighting it off, which I don't believe these deer have the virus anyway, but this is some nonsense. But I mean, wouldn't that mean that, they have the antibodies to fight it off? Why are they talking as if the antibodies are going to cause the virus? And, the language is so odd and so weird here. Let's listen to Doctor here.
We wanted to talk about how many deer or the percent of deer in the entire state were affected. We would have to collect a larger sample size over a much broader distribution across the state.
The study now raising more questions and answers, like how does this impact humans and where did the deer get the virus? DeLiberto says
that's a very good question. That should be the number one question. Where did the deer get the virus? How is this possible? Because it seems like a lot of bullshit to me.
Suspects it could be from people, surfaces, feed, or other animals.
It's likely that it's not through one route. Because we found exposure in deer across 4 states over a really broad geographic range, both within each state and across the 4 states, it's likely that exposure is happening in several or many different ways.
Despite the finding, the USDA says it likely won't have an impact on hunting season.
There is really no evidence that people can get SARS-CoV-2 from eating food.
So why are you talking about it, asshole?
Normal, livestock or whether it's game-hunted wild meat. There's no evidence that hunters can get COVID-19 from deer. However, there are other diseases that we can get from close contact with wildlife.
All I know is hopefully you little deer, hopefully it all works out for you guys, but it's not really looking good. Anyway, let's pray for these deers, y'all. Let's pray for the deer.